Okay.
What's up, Joe?
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Okay, right here, in my gym at home.
It's a nice gym, man. It's a nice home gym.
Nice, eh? Okay, guys, so we are live. Welcome to On the Block with Jen. I am excited about this episode because we have boxing professionals on the panel today. And I know all you guys watching think you're boxing professionals and think you know the sport, but I had to have a show with some real boxing professionals, not just fans like me. I am a very big fan of boxing, but I don't know the technical behind the scenes things that go down. So I needed some professionals because I got tired of arguing with you guys, right? On my social media. So introducing Boxing Hall of Famer Joe Cortez, referee Joe Cortez, and also Coach Anthony, who is a boxing trainer who's been training people for 11 years. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with me today. Starting with you, Joe, can you give us a little history on your background?
Well, I'm a New Yorker, originally a New Yorker, Puerto Rican from New York, and I won the Golden Gloves championships in 1960 and 1961. I also won the Eastern Golden Glove championships, won the National Golden Glove championships, and 2 Spanish Golden Glove championships, while being a flyweight, bantamweight, and featherweight. Then I turned pro when I was 18. I have 18-1 record as a professional, and I became a referee in 1977. I started refereeing back in New York in the amateurs in 1977. That same year, they turned me pro. I refereed for 35 years. I refereed close to 200 World Championship fights, and I refereed some of the greatest fighters in the last 4 decades.
Nice. Okay, we got royalty in the house. No te lo pierdas. Coach Anthony.
How do you expect me to go after that?
I live here in the capital of the world, Vegas, Nevada.
Nice. Okay, we got royalty. Let's hear it, Anthony, because you know what goes on in the ring. So let's hear it.
Well, how you doing? I'm Coach Anthony. I started off as an amateur boxer. I won a couple of Golden Glove things myself, and then from there I went ahead and became a trainer. I opened the gym. I didn't go professional. I opened the gym here in New Jersey, and I've been working with fighters ever since. I started out working with guys like Hammer and Hank Lundy, most recently world champion Tevin Farmer, and other guys from MMA, King Mo, different fighters. And I also went ahead and I started a YouTube channel where I teach boxing. Okay. So a lot of my popularity right now is coming off of the internet, a lot of stuff on YouTube, a lot of stuff on Instagram and things of that nature.
I follow you, so I've watched it every now and then to make sure I stay sharp, okay? Because I'm not too bad. I got to make sure I stay sharp, so I watch you every now and then. Right. All right. So, what's your background? Were you originally from the East Coast?
Yeah. I grew up. I'm from Queens, New York. I grew up in Queens, and then I moved down to Florida. Most of my amateur boxing experience came in Florida. I was training down in West Palm Beach. At the time, there was a gym down there called the Spartan Gym. And I was training around guys at that time. And then from there, I moved back up here, but I moved to New Jersey. And then when I moved to New Jersey is when I opened my gym. So grew up in New York City, moved to Florida around 17 years old. And then I moved back up to Jersey. And I've been here ever since.
Okay. And what's your ethnicity?
I'm Puerto Rican, half Dominican.
Nice. Okay. So it's Latin night tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, we lost Joe. Joe, where are you? Okay, here he goes. Okay, Joe, we got you back. So I wanted to just start out with some basic questions. Can you hear me? 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 Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You may have to go out and come back in because sometimes that happens.
Can't hear no voice.
Okay, I don't know how to. You have to go out and come back in. Let me see if I remove him, will he come back? Okay, let me see.
I hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No, he still can't hear me. Okay, let me see if let me see. Hopefully Joe knows to come back. Because sometimes
I don't know about that. You might wanna contact him.
wait, let me see. I hate when this happens. Excuse the technical difficulties. Hold on. We're gonna have a good show for y'all. Okay. Let me just text him, tell him to come back in. Okay. How's the weather out there in Jersey, Anthony?
Today was nice. Where you at?
Vegas.
Oh, you in Vegas? I don't know why I thought you was in New York City.
I was born and raised in New York.
Oh, okay.
In the Bronx.
Okay.
Joe, you back with us?
Get you back. Yeah, of course.
Now you can hear us? You good?
Hey, everything good. I think I took a couple of punches to the head a few minutes ago.
All right, good. So you back. All right, so let's continue. So basically, I wanted to start out with just basically, what do you both think of the state of boxing right now? Because some people have said that it's losing popularity to MMA. So what do you think about the state of boxing right now in general? Do you think we're losing boxing?
I don't think we're losing boxing. I think boxing is coming back. I think it's getting all this social media, a lot of live streaming on DAZN, ESPN Plus, and you got all these fights on a regular basis. You go online, you see so many shows that are going on. I mean, there's a lot going on. We're not the fighters of the past, like back in the era when I was refereeing. You know, where we had Tommy Hearns, we had Roberto Duran, Sugar Leonard, Marvin Hagler, just to name a few, Mike Tyson, and all the heavyweights. We had all the great heavyweights out there. Today we're coming up with a lot of lighter fighters are more popular these days because we can't seem to develop heavyweights. All the heavyweights you see, they're all international, foreign fighters. A lot of foreign fighters are coming into boxing. You got Gennady Golovkin, you have Lomachenko, you had the Klitschko's, and you got now you got the Tyson Fury, you got the Anthony Joshua. You got a lot of foreign heavyweights that are, and it's not popular here in the States. So people feel like boxing is dying. The heavyweight division was the glamour division, and now it seems like it does not happen. So people say boxing is dying. It's not dying. There's more fights, but not the glamour division like the heavyweight that we used to have in the past.
Okay, Coach Anthony, what do you think about when people say boxing is dying or like MMA is taking over?
No, actually, I think boxing's on the rise right now. If you look, right now, actually, boxing's really hot. The heavyweight division is hot. The welterweight division is hot. Guys like Canelo are superstar, megastars. So, in my opinion, boxing is almost at not an all-time high, but it's going in that direction. And I think when MMA first came out, there was kind of like a little competitive edge where guys were comparing boxing to MMA. But personally, I think that's out the window at this point. I think everybody knows that they're two different sports. And I think that a lot of MMA people are actually starting to come back to boxing because boxing is a big part of MMA. Right. So a lot of MMA fighters are coming to boxing gyms. I've trained a couple of pro MMA fighters that want to improve their boxing. So I think boxing and MMA can both live at the same time. And I think right now that's what's happening.
Okay, guys, if you're just tuning in, this is my boxing episode. I'm talking to Boxing Hall of Famer referee Joe Cortez and also Coach Anthony, who's been training boxers for the past 11 years. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments and I'll read them off as I go. Gentlemen, next question. In the subject of MMA and boxing, Conor McGregor, as you know, went back to boxing. Do you think that's something we're going to see more of in the future where MMA fighters are going to get in the boxing ring?
Well, let me tell you something. When Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather, McGregor's team called me and asked me if I could work with them and help prepare him for that fight.
Oh.
So for 5 weeks, I was training him on the rules of boxing. In other words, I was in there training with him. Every time he was in the ring sparring, I was in the ring with him, making corrections. I was in there dressed up with my referee uniform, and we would spar 8, 10, 12 rounds sparring. I had him for 5 weeks. It was a great experience working with him because I had to kind of break him in to make sure he didn't kick during the fight. He use an elbow, stuff like that, during the fight when he fought with Mayweather. And it was an honor for me to work with him because I was not a fan of MMA. I am a little bit now after training McGregor. It was an honor to be with him. I got more attention as a referee than I did my whole career as a boxer. As a referee, but that's how I trained McGregor. You know, McGregor made a cool $100 million for that fight, and I was very happy with him, and I was very pleased with his performance. I don't think anybody could complain about the way he fought. When he fought, everybody first thought it was a joke. I was doing my segments on ESPN Deportes with Julio Chavez, and Chavez, come on, Joe, you got to be kidding. That McGregor not going to last around with Mayweather. I told Chavez, my colleague with ESPN, I said, Julio, it'll be a big surprise in boxing. This guy, I've been with him for 5 weeks. This guy can surprise the world. Let me tell you, he really impressed me and impressed the fans with his performance. He didn't have the stamina to last the 12 rounds. He went to 10 rounds, but Mayweather was waiting his game. He could figure out how to let the guy punch himself out. They're not going to go after him. And that's just what he did. But McGregor, sitting there with him, she gave a good performance. People pay $100 for pay-per-view, and I don't think one person complained about paying that pay-per-view. They got their money's worth in that fight.
Right, I agree. Coach Anthony, what do you think about MMA and boxing mixing? And do you think more MMA fighters are going to get in the boxing ring?
I love it. It brings entertainment to the sport, especially when you got these MMA fighters who are really popular, and then people start to compare the two. If they're willing to come over to the boxing ring and do it, I mean, a few boxers already went over to the UFC in the past. We didn't have as much success over there, but a few of our guys did well. But it's cool to see those guys come over to our side now, because you had guys go over there. Now you guys can come over here, and if everything makes sense, man, I think it brings a lot of attention to boxing, and that's what boxing needs. So I'm all for it.
I want to say something. I think one of the reasons with the MMA guys saw the numbers that McGregor was getting paid for MMA, $100 million, and that's just a rough figure. Probably could have been more. That they said, man, you know what? We're not making that kind of money with MMA. We better start shifting over to boxing. And I think that's one of the reasons. And plus, it's good for that's a young generation, a new generation in the sport. MMA is a new sport. So all the younger folks there, and happens to be that 40% of the fans are female. So now they saw MMA and boxing, they kind of gravitate towards boxing too now. So we got a new fan base because of the MMA. So I think it's good. It was a good mix for boxing, I think.
Okay, I have a question for my comments. Who do you all think are the top 3 pound for pound best boxers you've seen? Just top 3.
You're talking about active fighters today?
David, are you talking active fighters? I think he means in general.
In general, okay. Let's start with a good one. Roberto Duran. Let's talk about Muhammad Ali. Let's talk Mike Tyson. You can talk about Sugar Ray Leonard. You can talk about, there's so many other great ones that have been out there throughout the years. I mean, a lot of great fighters. Julio Cesar Chavez. You got Felix Trinidad. You got a lot of fighters. Wilfredo Gomez from Puerto Rico. I mean, a lot of good fighters up there. I mean, there's more than, but you want to talk the top 3? I'll go with Sugar Ray Robinson. I go with Muhammad Ali. And let's throw in, I think Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, Muhammad Ali, Roberto Duran. How about that?
Okay, Duran was my mother's favorite of all time. She didn't want no problems with her Duran. Coach Anthony, who are your top 3 pound for pound best of all time?
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been around as long as Joe, but every once in a while I'll get a lot of these older fighters that I never heard of before, and these guys are really, really talented. So the list is so long, I don't know where to begin. But for my era, from what I've seen personally, I'm going to have to go with Floyd Mayweather as the best fighter that I personally seen fundamentally. And then I'm going to have to go with Roy Jones Jr. as another exceptional fighter who I got to see. You know what I mean? And the third one, I don't know, man. It's a toss-up. You know, there was so many good featherweights back in the 90s that I was watching coming up. You know, Morales, Barrera, all them type of guys. And the list just is but as far as skills go, I think I'm going to go with Floyd Mayweather. I really believe fundamentally he's the best fighter I've seen who does everything by the book the way it's supposed to be done. And he's also tough and rugged, you know? So I like Floyd.
Oh, wow.
I had
Okay.
the honor of Floyd on 4 occasions. I've been in the ring with him. Yeah, I know him. He one of the good ones out there, of course.
Right.
Okay. So someone asked a question I thought was interesting. I know, Coach Anthony, you had mentioned some boxers have gotten in the octagon with the MMA fighters, but he mentioned why didn't Floyd should have manned up and got into the octagon. I know, Joe, you said that McGregor didn't have the stamina for a 12-round fight. Do you think that Mayweather has what it takes to be in the octagon?
No.
Go ahead. I don't think it. Go ahead, Anthony.
For me, well, if you ask me, I don't think Floyd can make that adjustment so quickly because MMA has so many different things that boxers don't train in.
Okay.
But MMA fighters train in boxing. So even though they might not be as good as a boxer, they still have the understanding. They understand how to block. They understand how to punch. Now, a boxer does not understand how to defend a takedown, doesn't understand how to deal with a kick, doesn't understand how to grab and choke somebody, right? So they have advantages that we don't have because we have no knowledge of that stuff.
I can agree with you.
Would Mayweather survive Conor McGregor in the octagon?
Probably not.
I gotta go. Just saying, it's going to be kind of tough because he's not trained. Fighters are not trained for that.
Okay. So who's your, okay, Jaire, I got another question. Who is your favorite among the current crops? Who is your favorite among the current?
Okay, you want to talk? I could go with Canelo Alvarez is one. You got Sergey Lomachenko is another. You got Manny Pacquiao, who's 40 years old, 41, going on 41 now. He's still world champion. He's an 8-time division champion. And there's you got Anthony Joshua. You got Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder was up there, man, but I don't know what happened to him in his last fight. There wasn't Anthony Wilder there that night. And
he said his suit was heavy. His suit was heavy.
I don't know what happened to Anthony Wilder, Deontay Wilder that night, but there's quite a bit of young fighters that are up and coming, and but those guys are some of the few right now that are really doing very well.
Okay. You spoke of you mentioned Mike Tyson. You had the honor of being in the ring with Mike Tyson. Before I even ask you anything, what was that energy like? What was that energy like of being in the ring with Mike Tyson?
Okay, let me tell you about Mike Tyson. I refereed Mike Tyson on 8 different occasions. And one day we were talking, he said, you know, Mr. Cortez, he always called him, he never called me Joe. Mr. Cortez, I met you when I was 13 years old in Brooklyn. You came out there and I came up to you and I told you, he said, I'm a young fighter coming up. I want to do something in boxing. And he said, you told me if you keep yourself clean and keep yourself in condition and train hard, you can be champion one day. He said, I remember those words you told me back then. He said, I was only 13. And yeah, you know, I had the honor of refereeing Mike on his way up, including his last professional fight when he fought Kevin McBride. I refereed when he knocked out Larry Holmes.
Wow.
I refereed him when he knocked out Marvis Frazier in 30 seconds. My instructions were longer than the fight. 30 seconds of the first round, it was over. Mike was known to knock out guys real quick. And I did him with just quick tillers, but he went the distance the first time. And then 4 to 5 prior to him coming up the ranks.
Okay. Coach Anthony, what's your overall opinion of Mike Tyson?
A legend. Mike Tyson's a legend. I mean, most people around my age are still boxing fans because of Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? And the guy's a little bit older than me. I mean, they still compare Mike Tyson to the fighters of today. I mean, so, you know, he's a legend of the sport. He, you know, I have nothing but positive things to say about Mike, man.
So a lot of people are, you know, asking the big question, right? Mike Tyson announced a comeback, but as far as I know, he spoke of a comeback for exhibition fights. But the question has come up. People think that Mike Tyson could get back in the ring and do 12 rounds. What is your opinion of Mike Tyson coming back for 12 rounds?
Okay, I can answer you that question. Mike Tyson hasn't fought in over 10 years. And his last fight that he had, which I refereed, Mike Tyson could barely make it to the 6th round when I had to stop the fight. Mike Tyson is in no condition to be fighting anybody, not even 1 round. Mike Tyson can go in there and do a sparring exhibition, a couple of rounds. Yeah, anybody can do it. He got guys older than him do an exhibition. But they're talking about Mike Tyson. He got an offer to fight some guy who plays rugby in Australia. They want to offer him $1 billion to spar 4 rounds with him. You know what? I'll make a comeback at my age. for that kind of money, come on. Mike Tyson, you see it, there's a short little thing on a clip on YouTube of him throwing some punches. Yeah, first he has a white T-shirt on. You see him with a red T-shirt.
That's the one.
It took him a couple of takes just to do like a 10-second clip. I look good for 10 or 15 seconds, but put me there to do 1 round, 2 rounds, I'll finish. Mike Tyson will be fizzled out in 2 rounds if he was to compete in a real fight. At that age, they're taking a big risk. You know, he can put on the gloves and the headgear and go a couple of rounds. Chavez was doing it recently with Jorge Arce in Mexico. It was all exhibition. He was doing it because they want to make a little extra money, either for charity or whatever. Mike Tyson will do it for some money, you know. But Mike Tyson is doing okay, but I don't think he's ever going to compete. But you know what? If you want to get your name out there and be more popular, say, I'm making a comeback. You know, a lot of these guys say, I'm making a comeback. Sugar said he was making a comeback when he fought Hector Macho Camacho. He was retired 3.5 years. They called me the referee to fight in Atlantic City. And you know what? I had to stop the fight in 4 rounds. The first time that Sugar Leonard ever got stopped in his career against Camacho, who was not a heavy hitter. But they took Camacho. He got a cool $3 million. So he came back for that. Unfortunately, I had to stop the fight after he got dropped. Then he got up against the ropes, and he got taken some punishment. I jumped in and stopped it. I held him in my arms, but I was stopping it in my ear. He said, thanks, Joe. You know?
My heart breaks to hear that because I saw that 1-minute clip on YouTube and I said Tyson could come back. But that's why I wanted you guys on. I wanted the professionals on because, like I said, I'm just a fan. Coach Anthony, what do you think?
Anthony can tell you. Anthony's a trainer. You know, you always watch out for the safety of the fighters as a trainer. So you can tell them about Anthony, how you care about fighters.
Right. So
no 12 rounds for Mike.
There's an old saying in boxing that the rest is the rust. You know what I mean? And he was rusty 10 years ago. So like Joe just said, for him to come back now, you know, against a real contender, in my opinion, now anything's possible, right? Anything's possible, right? But it's not likable. You know, it's not. I don't see it. You know what I mean? I think that Mike Tyson's in good shape. I love to see him nice and fit. I like to see him with some energy. I like to see that he's in a positive state, but I don't want to see him in a professional boxing match against any real live contender. He can get himself hurt, and it's pointless. He's a legend. There's nothing to prove at this point.
Exactly. Now, you know, I'll tell you something. There was a fight that I refereed with George Foreman at the age of 45, and he fought a young Michael Mora. And Foreman was taking a pounding for 9 rounds. And I was refereeing that fight. And I was saying to myself, man, George Foreman, I kept going into his corner, checking me in between rounds. Because I was taking into consideration, being that my job is first and foremost the safety of the fighter. I want to make sure that he wasn't taking too much of a beating. So I go in there and make sure in between rounds. He told me, I'm okay. He was responsible to be okay. I called the doctor several times just to check him out. And then in the 10th round, he got lucky and hit Michael Mora with a right-hand punch and knocked him out. I counted out Michael Mora. But that's one of the rare fighters 20 years later, after winning the championship the first time, he wins it again 20 years later. That was history to make it. That was a punch heard around the world when George Foreman knocked out Michael Mora. But Mike Tyson, he could be the best man on this planet. He could knock out the rugby guys that they would have put him in an exhibition with, but he would never become a champion or even a threat in the heavyweight division with any fighter.
My heart is breaking. Do you hear it? My heart is breaking.
honestly, Jen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure Mike Tyson knows this also. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure he knows it also. It's just whatever he's doing is due to the fact that he's trying to promote something.
Right.
And, I just think that the people fell in love with a young Mike Tyson to the point where they're blinded. You know, they say love is blind. You know, you ignore all the facts, but the facts are the facts. You know what I mean?
Okay. I'm gonna take your word for it. I wanted the professionals on. I'm gonna take your word for it. So let me ask you this. Now, of course, he could not go round for round with one of the young contenders, but let's say Holyfield just announced the comeback as well for exhibition fights. What if, let's say, Holyfield and Tyson got in the ring and it wasn't an exhibition fight, it was a real fight? Do you think that's safer since they're both kind of like the same age?
You know, let me tell you one thing. It'll all be a publicity stunt. I mean, that's why Chavez did it the other day with Arce, Jorge Arce, two Mexican fighters, two great champions. But you know what? If Tyson and Holyfield to do it again, they'll do it just for an exhibition. The commissions and the will be hard to license these guys as professional fighters. You can't take a chance. I mean, something goes wrong, the liability, the lawsuits are going to come about. They're going to say, you say you care about boxing, it'll kill boxing. It'll be a big black eye for boxing. If one of you guys was to drop dead in the ring, get hurt with a punch, hit that canvas, you got to take him out on the stretcher, there goes boxing down the drain. We don't need that in boxing. We got enough young fighters out there to give us a good show. They did their time. They were a great champion. We're going to remember them as the legends in boxing. Let's keep it like that.
Okay.
And then, just to make a point real quick, right? I have amateur fighters that I train.
Okay.
When they're not in the gym consistently, even they can't fight. And these kids are 17, 18 years old. You know what I mean? If they're not training on a consistent basis, I won't let them fight because I know they're not ready to compete. So imagine taking 10 years off and you're already in your 50s.
Right. Okay. Let me ask you this. I know that that Tyson is, you know, he's a big advocate for cannabis and he smokes a lot of cannabis. I just want to know in general, does cannabis affect your ability to be a good fighter? It doesn't matter as long as you train hard.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Maybe that's what's happening with Mike these days. He's taking too much of that cannabis and he's thinking that his mind said to himself, man, I can kick butt out there. I can do it like I used to back in the day. No, cannabis is not good for nobody when it comes to sports.
Okay. Good to know. Coach Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much experience smoking and fighting, you know what I mean? But I do see that cannabis is becoming something big for fighters as far as pain goes. Because I know fighters that they don't want to take medication. So now they're taking these legal cannabis approaches. I'm not so knowledgeable on it. I think it's more for pain. But again, I don't recommend a fighter, you know, doing any substances, not even alcohol. I would have them limit their alcohol intake because all that stuff catches up to you.
Okay. Okay, we have a question in the comments. Who do you think has the better chance at victory, a boxer or a hard puncher?
You look at Floyd Mayweather, who's undefeated. I mean, he's the reason why he's there because he doesn't take that much punishment. The name of the game is hit, don't get hit. And those guys will last longer. They can talk clearly when they want to retire from boxing. They're not walking on their heels. You got a fighter taking all this punishment. They last a couple of 20, 30 fights. They're finished. They look at Terry Norris, and you look at so many other young fighters out there. You said, but they took all this punishment. Look at them today. That's why Mayweather, people don't like his style because he's not an exciting fighter. They say he's boring. He's not a slugger. People like to see a slugfest. When you get fighters that knock each other down, they get all caught up, they get all busted up. People love to see that. But people don't realize the results afterwards. And also as referees, we got to watch out for the safety of the fighter. And you, Coach Anthony, you're the same way. You don't want to see your fighter take a punishment. You teach them good defense. And sometimes I say you got to train the trainers. If some of these fighters, they go in there with trainers that don't know how to teach them defense. And that's what you want to learn. That's what you like Floyd Mayweather. You must be a hell of a trainer, because if you like Floyd Mayweather, that means you love his style. That's probably the way you train your fighter. Hit and don't get hit. Am I right, Anthony?
Absolutely, absolutely. But I will say this. Terry Norris was the better boxer against Julian Jackson, and I actually posted it on my page. I said you were refereeing that fight.
Right.
And Terry Norris is out boxing him, and he got caught with that bomb. So the puncher always has a chance, but I'm definitely more sided toward the boxer. I'm more for the longevity, and I love the science of the sport. So for me, it's about, you know, the sweet science and just focusing on one punch. What happens when you bump into a guy who could take your punch? Now the game changes. You know what I mean?
It happened to Mike Tyson, who was the best man on the planet until he fought this kid from Georgia. It was in Japan when he got knocked out by Buster Douglas. I mean, you know, Buster Douglas was not the puncher that Tyson was, but he knocked out Tyson, you see? And a good boxer, a real good boxer, can always, not always, a good boxer could beat a good slugger if you don't get hit. But if you get hit with that one punch on Mike Tyson's head, it could be a nice out. Look what Buster Douglas, when he fought Holyfield, when he defended his title the first time, he got knocked out by Holyfield. So you see, boxing, styles make boxing.
Speaking of, I'm glad we're talking about hard punchers, because I wanted to bring up Deontay Wilder, who has a fight style that's very, very much criticized, because they said he's just, you know, throwing punches with his eyes closed and hoping he hits something. What do you think about his style, and specifically his last fight? Like, what happened there? He said his costume was too heavy. What do you think happened there for real?
You asking Anthony or you asking me?
Joe, you can start.
Okay, let me tell you, Deontay Wilder, his last name goes with his style. He's a wild fighter, throws wild punches. And you know what, Anthony, you got a good boxer in front of you. What happens to the punches? Those wild punches. He's telegraphing those punches. He can see Tyson Fury saw the punches coming. He said, you know, I can outbox this guy. That's just what he had. He outboxed this guy from the beginning, for the round one. And Deontay Wilder, he has to punch, but if you can't hit a moving target. Tyson Fury was constantly moving, and he was unable to. Wilder was unable to connect. And they right from the get-go, he started getting hit, bang, bang, bang. Wilder was trying to survive. Before you know it was all over. Kenny Bailey did the right thing to stop the fight.
Coach Anthony, what do you think?
I mean, I saw the same thing. And honestly, to be honest with you, Tyson Fury was the better boxer going into that fight, hands down. To me, Tyson Fury is probably the best skilled heavyweight in the division. And not only that, if you really remember the first fight, which people forget, he won every round except for the rounds he got knocked down in. He really still, to me, won the first fight, even though he got knocked down 2 times. I thought he still won. So what I think happened in the rematch was he showed a little less respect to Deontay, and he just went ahead and took control and said, I'm not going to play with this guy this time. I'm going to win. And that's exactly what he did. I think the first fight, he might have showed him a little too much respect, and that's where he got clipped. But in this fight, he didn't give him that opportunity, and he dominated.
Exactly. There was Jack Reese, who was a referee in that fight in L.A. And Jack Reese, when I interviewed Jack Reese the next day on radio for a show that I was doing with him, and I said, Jack, when he went down in that 12th round, he went down, and it looked like he was out. Any referee at the planet would have just saw the way he hit. And he says, no, he said, I had a gut feeling. He said, I started counting over him. When I started counting over, when I said 5, he kind of like woke up and got up and finished the round strong, and he ended up getting a draw. But yeah, a lot of fans thought that he won the fight, Tyson Fury, and you're right. He came back with a lot more confidence on the rematch. And I think Deontay Wilder felt like, yeah, this guy's got something. And this guy really came prepared. He was hungry to get the heavyweight title, and now he's king of the hill, the Gypsy King.
Guys, if you're just joining us, this is my boxing episode. I'm talking to Boxing Hall of Famer Joe Cortez, who's also a referee, who's been in the ring with Mike Tyson. Also Coach Anthony, who's been training boxers for 11 years now. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Guys, speaking of Wilder, what do you think about when he said after the fight, you know, his costume just took his legs from him early on, and that's what the problem was. The costume was way too heavy. It had batteries in it. It weighed about 45 pounds, and that would slow anybody down. What do you think? The costume was heavy. What do you think?
Anthony, I'll let you go on that one.
Okay. I mean, look, man, costume or not, I see the same outcome. Maybe it did play somewhat of an effect somewhere, but it not enough of an effect to say that's the reason you lost the fight. I mean, he was just really listen, this goes back to what Joe was talking about earlier with the boxer and the puncher. Deontay Wilder built up a false sense of security over the years because he was knocking guys out so fast. But when he couldn't knock out the opponent, you saw what happened. And that's the problem with a big puncher. A big puncher doesn't know what to do once he can't land the big punch. And that's why it's so important to develop your skills, develop your defense. Had he had a plan B or a plan C, he might have done better in the fight, but he only had one plan, and that was to land a big punch, and he couldn't do it.
And we saw it in his face. We saw it in his face.
I'll give you an example. Prince Naseem Ahmed was a featherweight for Great Britain who came out. He was beating everybody, knocking out everybody. He came out here to Vegas. I refereed him about 4 times, but when he came out to Vegas, he fought Marc Antonio Barrera. Marc Antonio Barrera took Prince Naseem Ahmed to school that night. Took him to school, and Prince Naseem Ahmed was never the same after that. I mean, it goes to show that you can knock out all these palookas out there until you really fight.
He retired. I think he retired after that fight.
He retired after that. But you know what? When you lose your confidence, you lose everything. It looked like they drained him out when he could get. I mean, Barrera took him to school. It was such a one-sided fight. I was saying to myself, I couldn't believe that he tried to put all that cocky stuff that he was putting all his career, and so he met the real deal. And that was nice. Good night, sweet prince.
Guys, for anybody watching, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I got professionals on today, okay? Not just Facebook commentary that you guys argue about all the time. Okay, guys, why haven't we seen, which is something I want to see really badly, why do you think we haven't seen Joshua versus Wilder yet? What is the holdup? What's going on?
Okay, people who's asking that question, you got to remember, Wilder got knocked out in his last fight.
Okay.
Wilder. They're talking about Joshua and Tyson Fury now. That's the fight they're talking about. Lately, the last couple of days, that's what they're talking about. Eddie Hearns trying to put that fight together. I think Deontay Wilder got $3 million, $8 million sign money to step aside, and for Tyson Fury to fight Anthony Joshua. That's the next fight that they're working on right now.
Ooh, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean those are just the facts right there. I mean, you know, I think Anthony Joshua and Wilder were gonna fight, but I think now that Wilder lost, he kind of messed that up a little bit. So now he's probably gonna have to wait till the outcome of this Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua situation.
I have a question. Coach Anthony, how do you feel about Wilder fired one of his coaches because he stopped the fight?
I don't think that was right. I think that the stoppage was good. I think that his coach had his best intentions. His coach had him for most of his, if not all of his professional career. And I think if a fighter can't accept the coach doing his job, then he just wants a bunch of yes men around him. And that's never going to take a fighter to a next level. So you have to be willing to take the good with the bad in this game. And I think that too many times the trainer gets blamed when the fighter doesn't perform. You know, there's times when the trainer doesn't do his job and he should be fired, but there's other times where the fighter also has the responsibility to do his job. And I thought in that situation, Deontay Wilder's trainer did the right thing. Mark Breland, I think he did a fantastic job.
I agree with that. Mark Breland was a former Olympic champion and former WBA welterweight champion. was an excellent trainer. He's been with Wilder from the beginning of his career. And Mark Williams was in the best interest of the fighter. And that's what I like to see. I respect trainers more when they know when to stop the fight, knowing the fighter could take but so much. So I think Mark Williams did an excellent job in stopping the fight.
But he did rehire him, right?
Well, I guess when he came to his senses, he realized, and probably all the criticism he got, they said, come on, don't be blaming Mark Williams. He's a good man. So he probably said, I had to blame somebody, so let me blame my trainer. Look at all kinds of excuses. But he got his head together after he got after the buzz that he was in for a while, after he got knocked out, he realized he did the wrong thing. So I'm glad that he got it back.
We have a question. What belt do they consider the true HWC belt?
HWC, I never heard about it.
Does that mean heavyweight champion, Mark? He says, what do they consider the true heavyweight champion belt? I don't know. If you guys don't know, then I don't know.
There's no true heavyweight championship belt. They call it. They got 4 sanctioning bodies. You got the World Boxing Council, you got the World Boxing Association, you got the International Boxing Federation, and the World Boxing Association organization. So you got 4 of the major sanctioning bodies. Then you got the IBO, the WBU. They got so many all these alphabet groups out there that people are talking about. That sometimes you don't even know who really is the real champion. One time they only had, one sanctioning body. There was only one champion out there. Now you got so many champions that some of the commissions, some of the promoters don't even know who's the champion of the world right now. It could be maybe 4 or 5 different champions right now. Who's the real one? I don't know. Stand up, the real champion.
Okay. Here's a good question. Is it too late for Wilder to develop better boxing skills at this age, so he won't be relying on one punch?
Go ahead, Coach.
Honestly, probably if he doesn't, if his trainers don't go ahead and take more initiative, like it seems like maybe he has to make sure he has people around him who truly want to develop him, and he has to be willing to develop. If everybody's just there for a big payday, including the trainers, then chances are the same things are going to continue because they don't want to get fired, so they're not going to say anything wrong. And then the fighter has big ego, so he doesn't want to be corrected. That's a mix for destruction. But if he's willing to learn, I've seen fighters later in their career develop, but it's an anomaly. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, sometimes they say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and you just don't know what's going to happen there.
Ed Rodriguez says, Joe Cortez is one of my favorite refs. I'm fair, but I'm firm. Mills Lane and Kenny Bayless are pretty good as well.
Yeah, well, I want to thank the fans out there. There's a lot of fans that love us, a lot of fans that hate me as well. You got to take the good with the bad. As a referee, you got to have thick skin. But I'm the kind of guy, I love people. I love, whether you hate me or love me, I love you anyway. I'm the kind of guy that I care about people. If they were to know me from behind the scenes, the kind of guy I am, I think they would think different about the kind of good man that I am with everybody of all walks of life. I love working with youngsters. I love helping out with seniors. I love everybody out there. I'm always trying to do the right thing because I like to pay it forward as well.
Awesome. That's what we do. Para que lo sepa. A question. Is Wilder undersized for the bigger heavyweights? Is he undersized? Because those little chicken legs, man, I can't get past those little chicken legs.
I can tell you one thing that this fighter is that he's a big guy. He's pretty tall. He got to what he has. He got to learn how to use the boxing skills. I mean, the legs don't mean nothing. I mean, it's good. You have heavy legs. That doesn't mean nothing. He's not got all of his opponents, with the exception of Wilder and of Tyson Fury. Wilder is, forget about the skinny legs. He's a big heavyweight. He's not I see the small heavyweight, but back in the early days when you had Floyd Patterson, who was a 190-pounder, and you got the guys back in those days, Rocky Marciano guys, they were like less than 200 pounds. Muhammad Ali was 215. I mean, Wilder comes in at 225, 230. You know, these guys are pretty big, you know. And I think that the size of Wilder, he's a pretty good size for a heavyweight.
What do you think, Coach Anthony?
He's definitely a good size for a heavyweight. One fighter that was one of my best friends that I trained for a few fights is Fast Eddie Chambers, and he's 6'1". You know what I mean? So
right.
And he also weighed 205 pounds to 210 for most of his fights. So I think Deontay Wilder being 6'7", that's the neutralizer, and the fact that he has that big right hand, that's the neutralizer. I think that the Tyson Fury is just he's a monster, and it's gonna be hard for anybody to beat such a big guy who's that skilled. It's just a hard, difficult fight for anybody.
You know, I want to tell you one thing about Tyson Fury. You know, he's an inspiration to a lot of folks out there because Tyson Fury got to be as heavy as 400 pounds. He was a drug addict. He was an alcoholic, suffered from depression, and was suicidal. And the man hit rock bottom. He can't go no lower than that. The guy hit rock bottom. There's only one way from there. That was up. And look where he's at right now as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, with the exception of the belt that Anthony Joshua holds.
Ed Rodriguez wants to know, Joe Cortez, do you train people to become boxing refs?
Yes, I do. I work a lot with Kenny Bayless. I work a lot with Russell Morrow, with Benji Esteves, Tony Weeks. So many referees around the world that I've been training. I give seminars around the world. They call me in and say, Joe, can you go train fighters in Japan, in Mexico, in Panama? I go different places and give seminars. And I want to start a school with the Fairville Firm Boxing Academy where I can start training officials, not only referees, but I would also like to train judges, because I was a judge myself when I was refereeing. My first 10 years as a referee, the 35 years that I refereed, my first 10 years was a referee and judge at the same time. They only had two judges, and the referee was the third judge. So I did multitask, refereeing and scoring. But yes, I like to have a school, the Fairville Firm Boxing Academy. Keep your eyes and ears open for that. That'll be coming in the very near future. I'm working on that right now.
Okay, because he asked how could he contact you?
Go to Joe Cortez at joecortez.com. Send me an email, and you'll be reading at it. You'll see it also on the Fairville Firm show. You'll see my website, fairvillefirm.com. You'll see what I'll be doing on it. So it'll be posted by my team and my executive assistant, Delit, who is always stay on top of what I'm doing with my business, with my promotions, and anything we do in the community.
Joe, I might be kidding you up, man. I want to be a ref.
Yeah, there's a lot of people call me up saying, Joe, I want to be a ref. And I think we're going to have an audience for that because I want to do stuff online. Plus, I want to do a school where I have a seminar. I have a convention here once a year in Las Vegas, the boxing capital of the world. I have seminars here in Vegas. But having that convention here once a year and give a certification course to prepare to work them for the amateur ranks up to the professional ranks. And that's what I intend to do in the very near future. I don't want to let that opportunity pass me up. And too many people asking me about becoming a referee, so I got to come step up to the plate and do what I could do best.
That's nice. Well, I'm in Vegas, and I'll come to the seminar. I don't want to referee, but I'll come anyway. I'll come out anyway just to support because I'm in Vegas.
Yeah, you can help promoters and do your stuff online. And that'd be great to do a live streaming for the convention, of course.
Absolutely. I'm there. I am there. David Dillon said, Coach Anthony, your thoughts about having sex before the big fight. Is it a myth or is it for real?
There's been a lot of debate about that. There's actually been some research that say that it's overrated, that they debunk it. But for me, I want my fighter to have every edge he can have. So I would recommend to not have sex before a fight, whether it's a placebo effect, whether it makes you a little bit more, a little more meaner because you're not getting the things that you want. When you deprive a dog from food, what happens to the dog? The dog becomes violent. So when you deprive a human being from food, water, sex, Now you got yourself a very violent person, and some kind of controlled violence is what you want in your fighter. You want him to be violent but controlled. And I think that no sex should be the approach, because you're getting ready for a prize fight. You want to leave no stone unturned, so you want to avoid any of those kind of things, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, Cortez, what do you think?
There was a myth about you have sex, your legs are shot, you're weak, you go in there, you don't have, and it could be a mental thing, but like Anthony says, the best thing is to keep the fighter, send them up to the mountains, keep them away from the family, and make sure that they got the windows locked so they don't sneak out of their rooms at nighttime when they're supposed to be out there training. Some of these guys don't have the discipline. You got discipline to maintain yourself in good physical condition and keep yourself, like Anthony says, focused, and that makes you mean, makes you mad. That, man, I can't do what I want to do because of you. Man, I'm gonna kick your butt so bad, like it makes you meaner. I think you're right, Anthony.
Right.
Have you guys seen any diamonds in the rough, or is there anyone training right now from welterweight to heavyweight that you got eyes on that you're like, this dude is gonna be a champion? Like, is there anyone that we should be looking out for right now? I know there's a young boy. His last name is Garcia. He's Mexican. I forgot his first name. I'm sorry, but he's very, very young.
His name is Ryan Garcia. He's
yes, ese mismo.
135 pounder.
Yes.
He's like a little golden boy. Golden boy has him, Oscar De La Hoya. And he's a good fighter. He's proven himself to be very slick boxer, good puncher. He's fought Devin Haney. I'm an advisor for Devin Haney, who's a lightweight WBC champion right now. And him and Devin Haney fought about 4 times, and they split on their wins in the amateurs. And that's why let's talk about them fighting each other. I said, you don't have to fight each other right now. Let's wait for you two guys to make it really. Now, Ryan Garcia is not a world champion yet, but he's in the making. And Devin Haney is a world champion right now. And I think that down the line, 3 or 4 years down the line, that might be a good matchup to have to see who's really the best at that weight class. But maybe they wouldn't even be probably wouldn't even fight each other. They're probably going to outgrow the division of lightweight. Ryan Garcia is about 5'10", so he probably going to end up being a super middleweight because he got the height for it. And Devin Haney probably stay around 147.
What do you think, Coach Anthony, of Ryan Garcia? He looks amazing. He looks like, I follow him on social media. He looks like a monster.
He actually fought on the undercard of a fighter that I worked with, Tevin Farmer, fought on. And at the time, I wasn't very impressed with him. I thought that he looked a lot better in training than he did in his fight.
Oh, wow.
But his last 2 performances, he's actually, he's knocking guys out that guys like Tevin Farmer and Tank Davis went the distance with, or he's knocking these guys out pretty quickly. So maybe he is developing. He looks like I think he's with the right team right now. I think that the Canelo team got his head in the game. His body's developing real good. Hopefully he's doing it without eating some kind of a weird meat or anything like that. But he looks like he's getting really strong. And let's just see what happens. I think that he has a good opportunity.
Do you think he's ready for Gervonta Davis?
Yeah, why not? But like Joe Cortez says, let these guys develop, let their marketing value go up. I think they're all, anybody could win at any given day in that division. I think all those guys are a toss-up right now. Okay. I just think that why should these guys have to cash out without making the money that they deserve? So let them build their careers up and build up their popularity up just a little bit more.
Can I say something that Canelo Alvarez, there was a lot of talk about why he would fight Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, and Oscar De La Hoya. I would say, Oscar, what's happening? He said, Joe, this is going to be a right time to fight Triple G. We got to develop Canelo. Canelo 5 years ago, that would been with Floyd Mayweather. You saw what happened. Floyd Mayweather beat him at 147 pounds. That's the only defeat he has to his record. But you got to develop your fighter, and you got to work him just right so he can turn out to be a much better fighter. Had they thrown in Canelo earlier with Mayweather, he probably would have really taken a real bad beating, and then he probably would never been the same. So that's what they do with Ryan Garcia. They want to develop him slowly till he get mature enough to say, okay, now we can throw him in with the big boys. Now he can defend himself a lot better. But if they throw him in right now with Gervonta Davis or with other fighters that are maybe the world champion, they'll be making them say, there's no rush. He's only like 23 years old. Why rush him? Take your time. He's going to be the golden goose for Golden Boy.
Right. Jay Rivera asks, and I also need to ask, of course, who are the upcoming Puerto Rican boxers right now? Do we have anybody? Should we be, who we waving the flag for right now?
Anthony, I'll let you say that, Anthony. You got bored with the fighters.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I haven't been following all the up and coming Puerto Rican fighters right now, so I'm not really sure. Honestly, I don't want to sit here and say a name just to say it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Joe, have you seen anyone?
No, I haven't lately, but I understand that there's a couple of young fighters coming up in Puerto Rico. They're still not at the level. I mean, they're getting up there, but remember we had Felix Verdejo, who was promising a lightweight, and they thought he would be a world champion. Another Felix Trinidad, and he fizzled out. After he got into that motorcycle accident that he was involved with, and but I don't think there's been anybody lately in the last couple of years. So I think they're grooming a bunch of young Puerto Rican fighters. But Puerto Rico always comes up with a bunch of good fighters out of nowhere. Just like Mexico, a lot of these Latin American countries, they develop young talent. Jaime Munguia, who was a nobody out of Tijuana, he ended up knocking out Saddam Ali in Madison Square Garden. They would want to put him up against Triple G here in Vegas 2 years ago. And Bob Bennett, the same director, said, no, I can't put Jaime Munguia in with Triple G. He has no record. He's nobody. And so by him turning that fight out, he went up to New York and fought Saddam Ali and knocked out Saddam Ali and became a champion of the world. So, there's a right timing, and you got to move your fighter around. But right now, Puerto Rico is still developing some young talent. They'll get some in the very near future.
Okay. Going back to Wilder real quick, something I was curious about. Do you think that, in him making, because I think he looked very, very demoralized, after that fight. He looked kind of shocked, he didn't know what he was walking into in a way. And afterwards, we didn't hear from him in a long, long time. Do you think, what would it take for him to make his comeback, so to speak? Who would he go up against, you think? Being that Joshua is no longer an option, who would Wilder fight now?
Coach, I'll leave you for that. I have an answer for that, but Coach, I'll let you go first.
Man, that's a good one. I mean, maybe he goes down in level. Maybe he goes down a level, picks up 1 or 2 fights, you know what I mean, just to get his confidence back. If he just goes ahead and jumps right back into a fight at that magnitude, it might be the same outcome. We all see that a lot of fighters, they get pretty depressed a lot of times when they suffer a defeat the way he.
Okay, you're 100% right. I believe the same thing. A fighter gets knocked out like that, and he got to rebuild his confidence back. So it takes him a little while. Some fighters never come back the same. There was fighters that got knocked out and come back again and became great champion. Roberto Duran, he got knocked out by Tommy Hearns. Then I refereed him against Iran to Blade Barkley, and he beat Barkley for the middleweight championship. So some fighters do come back, but you need a couple of tune-up fights. You got to tune up 2 or 3 fights with lower B-class fighters and get your confidence level back. And if you feel, okay, now I feel a little bit better, but you want to go in there right now, he'll be shell-shocked. He'll go in there and probably too quick with a top contender. If he gets knocked out for the second consecutive time, you can say good night. That's it for this guy. He's finished. So they don't want to do that. A smart trainer and management team will put him up with B-class fighters to get the confidence level back again.
Okay, so I just want to say before I ask my last question, you can reach Joe Cortez at joecortez.com. And Coach Anthony, your social media is Coach Anthony?
Yep. And you can check me out on coachanthonyboxing.com.
Okay, coachanthonyboxing.com and joecortez.com. I'm going to replay this entire interview in a few minutes in case you missed it or came in late. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I am honored to have you here. It is beautiful. The Latinos are in the building. Joe Cortez, whatever you do, you already know I'm in Vegas. You can shoot me a text. I will be there with my little Puerto Rican flag. So, gentlemen, I wanted you guys to take us out with this. What are your predictions for Fury Wilder?
Fury Wilder is not going to happen yet. We talked about that. The experts in boxing know.
No, I'm sorry. Fury Joshua, not Wilder. Sorry,
Okay.
I said wrong.
Okay, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. It's going to be an interesting fight. I think that Tyson Fury brings a little bit more experience. He has a lot more confidence for knocking out the great heavyweight Deontay Wilder. So Anthony Joshua will have to. I think he's going a little too quick, but you know what? It'll probably be the biggest money fight right now for them, for both of them out there. But they got a couple eyes on it. But I think it's going to be a tough fight. I cannot make any predictions because I'm presently involved with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. I'm a licensed review official. That fight could take place here in Vegas. I cannot make any predictions on that.
Okay. Coach Anthony?
Listen, I hate to make prediction on fights because I respect all the fighters, but if I had to look at it from a fan standpoint, I'm going to say Tyson Fury to me right now is the best heavyweight in the division. I think Tyson Fury wins that fight also.
Okay, wepa. All right. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today on the block with.
I want to take a little picture right here. Can I take a picture?
Yes.
All right, cool. Hey, it was an honor to be here with you, Joe. I've been a big fan of you. I grew up watching you, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you being here with us.
Dude, thank you so much for being part of the show. And young lady, thank you. Keep doing a good job. Doing a good job.
I will. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
All the fans out there, we love you guys. Take care.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
Can you tell me how I can share this?
Yeah, it's going to be on my page. I'm going to text you.
Okay, cool. I appreciate you.
Definitely.
All right.
All right, guys. Wasn't that the dope? See, I have all kinds of subjects going on. It's not just about, rappers and gossip and relationships and God. Thank you so much for watching On the Block with Jen. This was amazing. I had to have a boxing episode because I got tired of debating y'all about Mike Tyson, but I stood corrected today. The professionals were in the building and they gave me the whole spiel on Mike Tyson. So there it is. I can't argue with the pros. So thank you for joining me again on the Block with Jen. I'm going to replay this. And please, guys, share this on your Facebook page. It takes one freaking click. You don't have to watch it again. Share this on your Facebook page as a watch party and then click leave watch party. You don't have to watch the whole thing again. Just do me el favor, and share this on your page, okay? And then share it as a watch party if you can, and then you can leave watch party. You don't have to watch the whole thing again. So don't forget, On the Block with Jen, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram, joecortez.com, coachanthonyboxing.com, and I'll see y'all tomorrow with some other dope shit. All right, guys, On the Block with Jen, peace. Thank you.